Hello everyone, I am Dr. Ajay Kumar, Deputy Director Research for International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Disease. In this particular session, I am going to show you how to use an external file and create a label block out of it in EpiData. So till now we have learned how to create label blocks internally within the check file. But let us say you have a variable called country of residence and you want to have the list of all the countries in the world. Now, do you start creating a label block internally? Well, you have to start typing all the names of the countries. One, this is inefficient. Second, you can make errors while typing each one of this. And probably it may also lead us to encounter the limitations of a check file, because the total size of a check file cannot exceed 64 kilobytes, and that's one of the limitations. Although 64 kilobytes, I think for a text file is a lot, but we may still encounter limitations when the number of possible values that a variable can take can go to hundreds or thousands. So how do we ensure that we use an external file? And usually these lists of countries or lists of districts are all available readily in some form, and we should be able to take whatever is available. Okay, so how do we use an existing external file and manipulate it in some way so that we can invoke that as a label block in our EpiData file? That is going to be the focus of this particular session. Now there are two methods. One uses only EpiData entry, other one uses both entry and analysis. I'm going to focus on the second method because that is more efficient and less cumbersome as compared to the first one. Now there are three important conditions that we have to meet before we can invoke a label block from an external file. Okay, the first condition is the external file has to be a rec file. Okay, now if the external file is in some other format as a text file or a CSV file or an Excel file, you have to convert that into a rec file. That is the first thing to be done. Now this rec file has to have only two fields. This is the second condition, only two fields. The first of the two fields should house the intended value of the label block. Is this clear? Okay, a label block has a pair of value and value label. So the first field in this particular external rec file should have the value, whatever is our intended value, and preferably sorted in some order, alphabetic or some chronology. Now I'll come to that in a little while. The second field in this rec file should be the intended value label. Is this clear? So the first one should be the intended value and the second field should be the intended value label. Then the third condition is both the fields should be key fields, and I'll show you in a while how to make the fields key fields. Is this clear? So these are the three things that we have to ensure. Now let's begin. So we have a sample Excel file. Let me go to the folder. So this is provided. So it's called AX05 namecode.xls. I'm going to open that. So this has two columns here. The first column indicates lab code and the second column indicates lab name. Now since it's useful to have lab name as our value, because data entry operators are more likely to be familiar with the name of the laboratory than the code of the laboratory. So we will use the lab name as our intended value. So that is going to be our first field. So I'll rearrange this a little bit, cut it from here and insert it. So this is going to be the first step. Let me save it. and I'm going to sort it alphabetically. Okay, select this column, go to sort and sort A to Z, and it says, do you want to expand the selection? Yes. Okay, so now I have sorted this one alphabetically, and you will appreciate why I did that once this is over. So I have now got two columns. One column has lab name, the second one has lab code. Okay, and this is how I want my label block to appear. So the next step is I want to convert this Excel file into a rec file. How do I do that? Select the data, okay, copy, fine, open EpiData analysis. So the EpiData start shortcut. So this is the first time you will be seeing this. Open EpiData analysis, and then say go to file and import from clipboard. Is this clear? So you have copied some data onto the clipboard. Okay, and you are going into EpiData analysis and say that I'm going to import directly from the clipboard. Okay, now this is imported from clipboard, and can you see this already? It has two fields and there are totally 95 records. You can press an F3 and you can already see that there are two fields, V1 and V2, and both of them are string variables. Okay, string variables or a text variable. Fine. So let me save it. File, save data. Okay, and I'm simply calling it MC, microscopy center, and I'm going to save it exactly in the same place, which is EpiData course. Save it. So this is saved. Let me go back to that folder and show you. Now I have a rec file which is called mc.rec. Clear, everyone? Now there finishes the role of EpiData analysis. I'm going to close it, quit. Yeah. Go back to EpiData Entry, open that record and see how it looks. So I have two fields, V1 and V2. Okay, and V1 contains the lab name, V2 has the lab code, and there are 95 records. That means there are names of 95 laboratories and their respective lab codes. Let me close this. One of the other condition is these two fields have to be key fields. Now how do I make them key fields? Go to checks, click the rec file for which you want to apply the check. So V1 should be key 1. So this is another command, how to make a field key and then type 1 because this is the first. Go to V2 and then say key 2. Okay, so we have gone and made both the fields key fields. So we have fulfilled all the conditions. What are the conditions? The external file has to be a rec file. So we had an Excel file which we have converted into a rec file. It must have only two fields. Yes, it has only two fields. And the two fields have to be key fields. Yes, I have made them key 1, key 2. And the first field, which is key 1 field, that should contain the value, intended value of the label block, and the second field should contain the intended value label of the label block. Is this clear? So once we have set this up, there's one final step before we can invoke the label block, and that is again in checks. Go to checks of the AX05 rec file, the original rec file where you want to invoke the label block. I in fact want to invoke the label block here in name of the laboratory. Now go to edit. Right now it is telling that you have to use this particular label underscore lab name. Okay, so it is drawing the label block from this particular label. Now instead of that, I want to use the mc.rec. So all I have to do is delete this and write mc.rec. So comment legal, yes, that is the command. The label block is coming from mc.rec. Is this clear, everyone? Accept and close, save it, close, and let's try if it works. So I am going to open my original rec file. That's it. Do you see it here? The whole list of all the laboratories and their lab codes you have access. And the reason I sorted it alphabetically is, let's say you want to search for, let's say the first one is Avuna. I'm going to do that. Try and type something here. Next you go there and let's say it is going to be starting, I don't know, it starts with CH and it goes directly to that place. And so if you have sorted it alphabetically, you can quickly see which is the lab and choose and move accordingly. Now this is the advantage of sorting it alphabetically. Is this clear? How to invoke a label block from an external file? This is very useful, especially when you have fields like name of the country, name of the district, name of the microscopy center, with long lists, especially in big countries where you are working. Thank you very much.